weekly wrap up September 30th, 2022. We're going to go over a couple of things as we do in every weekly wrap up. This wrap up is for Japanese teachers that teach the Gaikokugo foreign language English class. Now, as I showed you before, to hear this or to see Japanese subtitles, go down below, click CC, click Japanese for live Japanese subtitles so you can understand. Okay, today let's go into today's agenda for today's weekly wrap up. Okay, I want to show you what we're going to be doing during this weekly wrap up. Okay, we're going to do several things in today's weekly wrap up. Okay, these weekly wrap ups, we focus on mistakes made in the course for elementary school students. Okay, that's Shogaku, 5th and 6th grade. Okay, so don't forget, that's what we're doing. You can join our community and you'll get more details on that towards the end of this video. Okay? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about don't okay? Don't having hard English for students that aren't ready. I'll give you an example. Then we're going to talk about English names or Japanese names, but how to say them in English with the correct order. Then we're going to talk about speeches, okay? We're going to talk about speeches, and we're going to talk about animals and the speeches for 6th grade, okay? This is for Roku Nensei. We're going to talk about animals and how to allow them to use animals in their speech. And then we're going to talk about, in the 4th one, number 4, we're going to talk about tiger, penguins. This is something bonus. This is a bonus for you. How to talk about tigers and penguins. And we're going to do that in that next part, okay? So let's go to the first part. And yeah, let's just go into that. This is the first part. And we're going to talk about the 5th graders. And we're going to talk about them and some mistakes, or not, some things that they need to know about using the language. Okay, so here's the example here. Okay, this example from the textbook. Okay, and remember, your goal is to not have the class so hard for your students. So you don't want to have your students that are struggling with English, that are having problems, you don't want them to even have more stress and struggle from English because they think it's difficult. So what I don't want you to do as a teacher is you should not put emphasis on more complex, more challenging English sentences, okay? You should focus on what I'm going to show you now, okay? this is an example. And then this example, okay, we're looking at Janet Green. This is Janet Green. She is my mother. She is a doctor. She can play volleyball well. That is the same exact pattern of English from the New Horizon textbooks, okay, for fifth graders. It is exactly what they need to study and practice for a speech presentation or an language speaking test, okay? That is the basic pattern, but it's good enough, the difficulty, where a student can just do maybe 3 sentences out of the 4, and they still will be good, okay? They will still be able to learn and understand English, but they don't need to be perfect. The problem comes here. When teachers are doing this is a mistake. Teachers will maybe want to show how great their English is, but they'll, for some weird reason, they will add extra to this for students that are not ready for that yet. Here's an example. In example 2, you will see this is Janet Green. She is my mother. She is a doctor. She can play volleyball well. How about you? Can you play volleyball well? Many times your students don't remember still or don't get it. Even the basic point of the grammar for this particular unit, which is well. What can they do well? Not just do. I can play basketball. I can swim. But can I swim well? Can I play basketball well? The point of this unit is to teach students what well means, okay? As well as for them to remember how to use doctor and how to use jobs and how to talk about people and their family, okay? That's why we practice brother, sister, grandmother, father, mother in this unit, okay? So remember, don't force your students to ask questions, especially if they don't understand the basics. My advice, let me go back to my advice. Okay, this is my advice for you. My advice is that you use this sentence structure here. Just the basic. This is Janet Green. She is my mother. She is a doctor. She can play volleyball well. And if your students are good with that, and you know as a teacher that they're good with that, okay, then that is the point when you move on to the next part. That is the point when you say to your students, okay, Ryoma, okay, Sakura, do you want to try more difficult, more English, level up? That's how you challenge your students at that point. But don't make all your students do that. Okay? Okay, let's go back into that. So this is what you need to do. Leave it here and then add this next part here, okay, for your students that are at a higher level of English, okay? Let's move to part 2, okay? So let's go into part 2 right now, And I'm going to go into that in more detail so that you can understand what's going on with part two. Okay, so let's get into part two. So for part two of today's wrap up, okay, we're going to talk about English words, or I say that wrong. Let me correct that. Not English words, but the way when we speak English, we need to change our order of our wording sometimes. A lot of times, or Japanese structure, we already know that is subject, object, verb. Whereas in English, it's subject, verb, object. Okay? So, for example, play basketball, basketball play, backwards. Okay? So it's a different thing. Let's go into this. Okay, we're going to go to part three, or part two, sorry about that. Let's go back into this. Okay, so here in part two, here's an example for you to understand. It definitely matters about your word order. Here is the wrong word order. This is Watanabe Keiko. This is Yamada Dio. Okay, so you have to understand that this is important, and it does matter in English. Okay, so you need to ensure that your students are understanding that when they speak, when they introduce someone in English, in this word order, it doesn't the English speaker doesn't understand properly. It's confusing. They don't understand who the person is really. So you need to make sure that you're doing the correct word order. Again, I went over this in another video, but I'll go through it again because I see it over and over again. We need to stop this. So let's, it's important and it does matter. Okay. A lot of teachers, I think, maybe you think it doesn't matter, but it really does. So let's go in here, and this is a very basic thing, and look at this again. Okay. So here is our Watanabe Keiko and our Yamada Rio. Of course, we just switched the word order. Watanabe Keiko becomes this is Keiko Watanabe. Yamada Rio becomes this is Rio Yamada. It's a very small change, and I think most Japanese teachers don't understand how important that is. It's very small. Please teach your students that. Please make sure they're doing the correct word order, or it will just please do that. It will cause problems in the future. Okay? All right, so let's move on to our next point for today's weekly wrap up okay? Let's move into our next point. Okay? Our next point for today's weekly wrap up. Okay, we're going to talk about getting the animal speech ready. Okay, so we want to talk about how to get your sixth graders ready for their animal speech. Because in this particular unit, of course, they're going to talk about their favorite animal and what animal they like. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we help your student tell the story, their story of their animal that they like. Okay, we don't want to go into talk about just basic animals. We want to have them open their mind and talk and let them talk about anything they want. That's how they really express themselves and really learn English. Okay, so it's don't get locked into the picture dictionary. Okay, so let's go into that. Here we have, once again, some examples of animals in the picture dictionary: elephant, cat, lion, and panda. These are animals that are in the picture dictionary that your students will look at. Now, my advice for you is use your tablets, use your Chromebooks. Let the students do their own little research. Give them 2 to 3, give them 5 minutes. 5 minutes to go in there, and even more, 5 to 10 minutes. Let them go in there, find their animal, find out where their animal lives, find out what their animal eats. Let them do that like early on so they can learn to write those words down. And if they have questions, they can ask you or your assistant language teacher, your ALT. So let's go back into that one more time. Okay, so right here we have elephant, cat, lion, panda. Now if we were to open up, okay, we'll let them do more. You will see cheetah, lizard, red panda, and kangaroo. With these animals, these are other animals that your students will find when they do their research that they may not want to talk about, but it's not in the picture dictionary. So a lot of times they become quiet or they're shy, but that's not really what's going on. The problem is they don't know the English word for the animal they really want to talk about. So let them use their tablets, do research, and pick and choose an animal that they really want to talk about. Okay? All right. Let's go into the next thing I have for you today. Okay. So the next thing I have for you today is let's look at, okay, let's see here. We're going to talk about the well, that was it pretty much. I guess that was it. That was the fourth thing, unless I skipped everything. And let's go move on here. Yeah, that was it. That was the bonus. The bonus. Oh no, sorry. The bonus is this. I made a mistake. Sorry about that. Here's the bonus. Okay, the bonus is we're going to talk about those animals that I talked about before. Okay, the bonus animals here, and the example that I want to use is this here. So this is an extra bonus here. I want to talk to you about sometimes if you let the students, or if you don't let the students use their tablets, or just in general, students make a mistake when they talk about the animal and where it lives. Okay? For example, fish live in the sea. Eagles live in the forest. Pandas live in the mountains. So this is part of the 6th grade speech presentation, and it's part of what they are learning in Unit 6. Okay? So let's talk about what happens. Students actually make these mistakes. It's a small mistake, but let's look at it real quick. And a lot of times, a teacher, you don't catch it, or maybe you think it doesn't matter, but it's always best to teach the students the correct thing first. So let's look at that. So here, excuse me. All right, so here we have lion, tiger, polar bear, shark, penguin, And then on the right side, you have forest, savanna, sea, wetlands, and polar lands. Okay? So we want to ask ourselves, where do we think these animals are at? Okay? Where are these animals? Okay? Where are these animals at? When you look at the lion, where does the lion live? In the savannah, forest, or sea? In the savannah. Where does the tiger live? Forest, savannah, or sea? Okay. Where does the tiger live? Okay. Your students will say tigers live in the savannah. Okay. That is a mistake because tigers are not in Africa and the savannah is in Africa. There are no tigers and lions and zebras walking around amongst each other. Okay? But you know that as a teacher. But your students just think wild animal, big cat, savannah. Okay? Let's go back in here. We also have polar bear. Polar bear is in your picture dictionary. It's one of the animals there, but a lot of times the students don't talk about polar bear. But polar bear is a good one because they don't have the polar bear's nature habitat in the picture dictionary, which is strange. That's why this is a bonus. The polar bear's habitat, polar bear's nature, sea, mountain, forest, savanna. Polar bear is not in there. Okay, so let's go on to the next. Okay, next we're going to go back to shark, and penguin. Shark is, of course, in the sea. Shark's in the sea, and penguins, okay? Penguins could be in the sea. Okay, so let's see. I've matched these for you, and you know the answer, but I want you to see this so you remember, so that your students don't make this mistake, and if they do, you can fix it and help them. Okay, so let's go in here. Okay, so our thing is this: lion, tiger, polar bear. Okay, here's the answers. Lions live in the savannah, of course. Tigers live in the forest. We also have another word for forest. Let's see if I could put it here. The other word for forest that we use, which is actually even better, is jungle. Jungle is actually the better word for this. But if you don't want to add jungle because it's a new word, that's fine. Savannah for lion, sea for shark, polar bear for polar lands, and penguin for polar lands. Okay? So penguins and polar bears both live in the polar lands, which is the missing nature habitat. Okay? Make a note of that, write that down. The missing nature habitat is the polar lands. Let me show you that one more time. Polar lands. Okay? Very important because a lot of your students really do like to talk about penguins, and they always put them in the sea where they would drown to death because there's no land. So they don't live in the sea. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is actually the end of today's wrap up. Today's wrap up is pretty much weekly wrap up is finished. It was weeks had a couple of issues here still with this software in YouTube. I don't know why, but there's mistakes here and there. Hopefully those will be fixed up later or quicker or better. And hopefully, yeah, that's how we're gonna go with that. Okay, let's move into our next one. Okay, so let's wrap up what we talked about today. Okay, let's wrap up. Let's talk about it. Okay, we talked about don't add more difficult English for fifth graders. Okay, if the fifth graders don't understand the English already and they're not good at it, they're just learning it, have them practice the sentences. Just have them practice the basic sentences as I showed you before. Don't add questions. What about you? How about you? Um, do you like this? Because how about you is actually the wrong way to ask the question anyway. So don't do that to them there. Okay, next, number 2. English and name order standards. Okay, remember that in English, when we speak in English, when we introduce people, we go first name first, last name last, which is backwards from Japan, but they're speaking English, so they need to start to understand new language, new rules, new speaking rules. Okay, we also talked about the third thing on the list is to allow the students to choose any animal for their speech for the 6th grade. Let them choose if they want to do red pandas, if they want to do dragons, if they want to do white tigers, panthers, leopards, cheetahs, um, wolverines, any animals that they're interested in, that they are interested in. Let them do that. Let them try new animals, porcupine, platypus, kangaroo, so many different animals. Just let them run wild with their imagination, and they'll have fun with it, and they'll really enjoy the lesson. And they'll enjoy the entire unit that way if you let them choose any animal they want. Next and last um, is the tigers, penguins, and nature mistakes. And with that, of course, nature habitat, where these animals live, where they don't live. Okay, talk about that with your students and let them know what's correct, what's not correct, and what we found out today and what I taught you today and revealed to you is that penguins don't live in the sea and tigers don't live in the savannah. Okay. All right. So let's do some more stuff here. Okay. Um, you know, just remember that we do have a YouTube channel. Okay, and it was there for you. You could up go there, learn English, watch the videos there. Not learn English, but learn how to teach English to your students in the Gaikokugo class. Okay, we also have so many other things to learn that you can do. That you could do. That you could learn there to help your students. And remember to go down to the link in the description below. Go down and you will get access to a free PDF that I made for you. Download that PDF. You will get weekly updates, information on tips like this and other things to help you easier teach your English class because you'll have me to help you even when you're in it. Your ALT is not there. You at 24/7 you could access this stuff. Okay, more in detailed information specifically made for the MEXT Gaikokugo English course. Okay, so I made it specially for you to help you out. Remember, I have over 1,800 hours of teaching this course, and I've taught over 1,800 students, 2,200 hours of teaching, a lot of experience. Okay, so you can rest sure I will help you out. Okay, and you're coming to the right place. Okay, so with that being said, let's go back into there one more time, and I want to show you the website here. Okay, I'll give you the link here. We are at Gaikokugo Go again, one more time at the top here, Gaikokugo Go, and that's the website you can go to, and you could find more about us, about me, my story, why I'm doing this, why I like to help teachers succeed and do better in their classes and have their students also succeed and enjoy English. You could go there, learn a lot more, and come here for videos weekly for the weekly wrap up. And I will see you in the next weekly wrap up or the next video, or download our free PDF, the 5 mistakes that happen in Japanese Gaikokugo English courses for elementary students, and you can learn how to fix those, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a great weekend. Peace and love. See you next time, and I'm out of here.